So we're joined by head coach Kenny Bundy. How are you, Kenny?
Good. How are you?
I'm not too bad at all,
Good.
Thank you. Before we get on to the squad's fantastic start to the season, will you just give us a bit of information about the link between Houston Dynamo and the Cavalry, and also about USL and where it sits in the soccer pyramid in America?
Yeah, so we have a very distinct pyramid here with Houston. We have an academy, and then we have obviously a USL League 2 team, then we have a championship team, and then we have our first team. So it's important for us that we cover all of the bases in the development of players. The USL plays a huge part, and since it's been linked together, where they've rebranded it and they actually have League 2, League 1, and then the championship, it's been exciting for us because we look at it as an opportunity for all of our players to develop in a way that's beneficial for them. So allowing a kid to go from the academy to League 2 to the championship to the first team is a much more comfortable pathway than maybe a kid going straight from the academy to the first team, which is almost, it's something that's very, very difficult.
So you've obviously bridged the gap. So how do you go about selecting these players? Is it from, obviously it's a collegiate league, so I mean we discussed off camera obviously about you wanted to find players that play the way that you want to play, but how would you go about finding those players?
Yeah, it's a lot of connections. We have schools that we have a lot of ties to. We have schools that we know are producing players that fit into our system. But ideally, what we use this team for is an opportunity for our first team and our USL team to identify kids that they might want to bring in the future. I think college soccer, it's still massive in this country, but it is difficult sometimes to see all of the players that are around. So the way we build it is we build it looking for players that might excite our USL team, might excite our first team, that they might not have seen before. So yeah, it's a bit of they need to fit into the way we want to play, but ultimately we sell the program to the players as giving them an opportunity to be a part of an MLS organization. That's why they wear the Dynamo gear for training. But again, BV Cavalry has been a huge part of that because it's a professional environment when we go and play at home.
Moving on to the fantastic start to the season, obviously 8 wins in 8 games. Just how satisfied is that for you as the coach?
We all want to win, right? I mean, I think that's a question not asked a lot. How satisfying is that? I think when you start to sit back and think, I'm satisfied, I think you can lose an edge. The goal from the very beginning was to win our first game. We wanted to win the first game. We knew we weren't going to have a lot of time. We knew the players were coming in late. We'd already played an Open Cup game with our under-19s. So it was to, first and foremost, win our first game. We won the second game, and the goal became get to 4-0. Once it was 4, it became get to 5 because of who we were playing and the level of the teams we were playing at the time. It was to get to 5. Once we got to 5, it was to get to 8. Now, if I'm honest, it's game by game. I think in the beginning of the season, we weren't looking for anything other than making sure that there was a cohesive group playing the right way, and that they were expressing themselves in a way that was getting them noticed. So having guys into first team training, having guys identified by our USL team, that was our goal. I think the wins are a byproduct of what the type of players we have. So yeah, it's exceptional. I mean, 8-0 is great, but I keep telling the boys this, that the more you win, the bigger the bullseye gets on your back. And from a staff, we can't become complacent and think that it's great, 8-0 is fantastic. We need to make sure that we're continually pushing these guys to really express themselves, because this is an opportunity for them to be seen.
You talk about obviously the bullseye being on their back. Obviously we went a fair few games without conceding a goal. We obviously conceded our first goal, and we've now conceded our second goal. Do you reckon the stigma now has gone, we've conceded goals, that's gone, and is that helped the players in terms of development? So obviously every time that we went and had a clean sheet, it was brilliant, everyone's happy, but they've still got that on the back that they haven't conceded.
Goals have to be realistic, and I think an unrealistic goal is to say we're not going to concede. It's just the nature of the game. There's so many factors that we can't control. There's so many factors that you can't control that concede goals. And I think we talked about this at the end of the game that we conceded our first goal. This is great. We needed this. We needed to concede that first goal and stop the buzz of they haven't been scored on. What I am the most proud of is when we conceded in our past game, the annoyance that the boys had at the end of the game. Right? Not the 3 points. 3 points everybody expects, and yes, they're very excited about that. Not necessarily the 6 goals we scored, because I think looking at the team, their expectation is scoring multiple goals. Those things come. I think the annoyance that they had for conceding that 1 goal is what you want as a coach.
Obviously, there's been a few changes to the roster for various reasons. Yeah. But do you think, in terms of the players that are here now that have been here for a little while, they've got to keep that performance going, obviously knowing that there's players that are more than capable coming off the bench. We've seen players come off the bench and make an impact in the game. So do you think now the squad is at the depth where you want it, you're happy with, and also where a player knows, look, if I have a poor game, I'm going to be out of here, someone's ready to take my place?
Competition in building a roster is the most important thing. I think complacency can really hurt a team chemistry when guys consider themselves a player that's not going to ever come off the field. I think that the competition side of things is extremely high right now. Players are training to play in the games. I think we have a really deep squad, but we knew we were going to lose guys. The hardest part about this league, and I think it's unique to the USL too, is you may have a guy for 10 days. You may have a guy for 2 weeks. You may have a guy up to 10 games, and then right when the season goes into the playoffs, he's got to go back to school, or he's got to go and see his family, or he's got something come up, or he goes on international duty. These kind of things I don't think happen as much in other leagues. But that's partly why you bring in as many guys as you do, and the right guys. The one thing that we're very fortunate to have is high-level academy kids that are not only playing, but can also step in when needed. I think that what we'll see at the end of the year is we'll see some of our guys that have led us to this point leave, and then it will be opportunities for others to step up. But the good thing is the expectation from the group doesn't change. The guys that are playing and the guys that aren't playing, the same expectation is there. If you go through our group chat, before every game, even the guys that don't travel, they know the expectation, and they're encouraging the boys to continue 3 points, score multiple goals, and keep clean sheets. And I think when that opportunity happens, when you have that type of player, you may lose some sharpness because of lack of playing, but what you don't lose is that mentality.
Obviously, we talked about high competition and high-level players. You've had 3 players go on international duty. Yeah. Billy Jones gone to New Zealand, Christian Molina and Pedro gone to El Salvador. Yeah. Just how proud does that make you as a coach to see players go off on international duty?
I mean, I'd like to think that we play a role in all of these guys' career. Obviously, all credit goes to those guys and who's been developing them over the last 2 or 3 years, 4 or 5 years. But for us, it just shows the level that Dan brought in as players. I mean, I think, the eyes are opening with what they're doing right now. I keep telling the boys, you never know what people see. People may see a tweet, and they see a tweet, and they see that you're 8-0, and they see that you've conceded twice, and you've scored 30 goals now, I think. Okay, that's a tweet. That someone's making an opinion based on that. You want the right person to make the right opinion at the right time, and that's how your career blows up. I think those guys going into their international teams is just a representation of how Dan built the team. He built a team of high-level players that are highly motivated. So, yeah, it makes me proud, but it makes me proud for Dan because I think sometimes he gets lost without the credit that he is due. Because I'm the one that has to dress up and sit on the sideline, and he sits next to me. But he does. He's done such an exceptional job of not only building the group, but his personal connection with each player allows me to see from higher above, fix problems, create things, and then his guidance to the boys individually is exceptional. So I'm proud, but I'm more proud of seeing that we built a team that has this high level player.
Obviously, looking forward, we've had a tough period in terms of run of games, 5 games in 10 days. Yeah. We've got Mississippi 3 times on the spin. What are obviously the expectation is to win, but what are your thoughts going into that, how maybe Mississippi will set up and what challenge they will present being second in the table?
Look, we always looked at, this run of games here as being something that we have to manage. I'm not looking at 3 games, I'm looking at 1 game. I think it's very difficult with such a compressed season to actually take a step back and look game to game, because basically what you're doing is you're playing every other day. It's actually refreshing sometimes when you get 2 days between games. But I think what we're looking at is how are we going to be successful tomorrow? How are the boys going to be successful? Mississippi's a very well-coached team, and I think that what we've come up against in the past 4 games is tactical changes based on the way we're playing. I would expect that tomorrow. I would expect Mississippi to be similar to what we saw 2 years ago when they were back in our conference. And ideally, it's whose adjustments are going to be more successful. For us, we have a very specific style and distinct way we want to play. We look at our opponent and we look at Mississippi, and we adjust things we're going to do to what we think they're going to do. But ideally, it's up to the players. They can play as many games as they want. It's a mentality going into it, especially being at home.
Do you think playing them obviously 3 times in quick succession, like this, obviously we did the same with Texas United, we won 6-0, won 6-1 against them. Do you think obviously that gives you a bit of an advance? I mean, it gives both teams an advantage, I suppose, so you can see how each other play, but you can go into the first game and tweak anything, and going into the second game, it comes in quick succession.
I think it's tough. I mean, it's tough because playing as quickly as we do, there's going to need to be player rotation too. Texas in the summer is not a nice place to play. And I think that these boys need to make sure they get their rest. But it is what it is. I mean, we adjust. We'll take the first game by itself. We'll have a day to prepare. We'll take the next game by itself. We'll have 2 days to prepare. We'll take the next game. And I think that when you break it up like that, to me, it doesn't really matter, right? The one thing I think our guys understand is every day is an opportunity to express yourself. And is it going to be the same each day? No, because we're all going to make adjustments, right? We're gonna be sick and tired of seeing each other by Wednesday, like the Harlem Globetrotters playing the same team every time. But at the same time, it is what it is, and I think we'll make those adjustments.
And finally, obviously, we have got 8 wins from 8 games, but what are your expectations for the rest of the season, and also beyond the rest of the season for the group, in terms of, yes, your players will leave, but what do you think certain players will go on to do after here, or hope that they will go on to do?
Well, we want to produce professionals. I mean, I think, number one, we want to give these guys every opportunity to be seen, to give them the opportunity again to go somewhere and prove themselves. I think being a professional is a very long process, right? Being signed may seem like it's hard, but being signed is just the first step, because then you have to prove yourself to continue to be signed, to start to play, to show what you're capable of. These guys are in that final phase of what's going to happen in their career. I think, what are our goals? Our goals are to continue to keep clean sheets, score multiple goals, and win games. And again, how we do that is a lot of what our responsibility is as a staff, but also the players. If we continue to do that, and you sit here and you say to me, hey, you're 9-0, you're 10-0, you're 11-0, fantastic. But I do think that we also have to be realistic and know that with the players that we have, that should be the expectation. We can't control everything. There's going to be things out of our control. But yeah, it's to win every game. We want to step into every game and we want to win. And how we do that is distinct to what we're trying to do. And then obviously as if the results continue and we're fortunate enough to make the playoffs, it's game by game again. Nothing changes. I think we can overanalyze things to a point, but it's a game. It's 90 minutes tomorrow for 3 points, right? Day off, 90 minutes for 3 points. And as long as the boys understand that, I think it's much easier to manage the workload, especially looking at the next 4 weeks. So if they do that and they continue to impress, it's our goal that the right people see it and they take notice, and then another opportunity opens up. All we sold these boys on at the beginning of the year was, we're willing to give you an opportunity to train here, to play here, to be noticed. If you take that opportunity, that's great. If not, no big deal. And I think that's the continued focus. Nothing's changed.
Super. Well, thank you very much for giving us some of your time. Yeah. Hopefully we are sat here when we've wrapped the league up.
Yeah.
And we'll talk to you very soon.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.